We're coming to that time of the year that we will begin to exchange gifts with people that we know or love. Sometimes, even this week, people may have not only their Thanksgiving time together, but they may even exchange gifts as well. I ran across something that was called 8 Weird Ways to Say Thank You. This is based upon someone giving you a gift. And it was done in number 8. Well, you say, well, now that's a gift. Number 7, no, really, I did not know that there was a Kia pet tie. Oh, wow, it's even a clip-on. Number 6, you know, I've always wanted one of those. Would you jog my memory? What's that called again? Number 5, you know what? I'm going to find a special place to put this. Number 4, you don't see craftsmanship like that every day, do you? Number 3, wow, it's such an interesting color. Number 2, you say that it was the last one, and I'm glad that you snapped that baby up. And then the number 1 weird way to express gratitude. You shouldn't have. No, I really mean it. You shouldn't have. Well, now you know what to say and what perhaps not to say when someone gives you something that you may not appreciate as much as usual. Gratitude. How many people today will say the little phrase to you, thank you, and really mean it? Moms and dads, are your kids going to say thank you and you pass out because that's the first time you've heard that phrase in a long time? Or what about to a child from a parent? Thank you for cleaning your room. Thank you for being the kind of child that you are. Whatever the phrase may be. Some of you work out in the public. How many times do you actually hear someone say thank you and they really mean it? This morning, in order for us to appreciate the text that was just read a few moments ago, we have to go and look at a history lesson. It's found in chapter 11 of 1 Samuel. Samuel is the new king of Israel. Nabash, the Ammonite, the enemy of God's people, have come up against the people of Jabesh Gilead. They have encircled them. And they basically say, you better surrender to us or we're going to annihilate you. And so basically they explain what they're going to do to them. They're going to cut out their right eye. Now that doesn't sound like a real nice thing to do, but basically what that would make them do is if their right eyes were cut out, it would have made them defenseless because you're not able to defend yourself and use a weapon, a sword against your enemy if you don't have your right eye. Or of course, the same would be true perhaps for your left eye as well. But the point of the matter is we're going to make you defenseless, but at least you'll still be our servants. You'll be our slaves. So Jabesh and Gilead send out messengers, and they come to the place where Saul is, and they say, please help us. We have just a few days before they come out against us, and they're going to either annihilate us or they're going to take out our eyes. Is there anybody that can give us help? And Saul is the new king of Israel. And he basically says, look, these people, because they belong to us, because they are part of us, they need our help. I want every man of battle to get ready for war, and let's go. And they send word back to the people of Jabesh Gilead, we are coming. At a certain time, we're going to come and we're going to attack from 3 different sides, and we will annihilate your enemy. And that's exactly what takes place. So here in 1 Samuel chapter 11, he saves these individuals and delivers them from any kind of enemy possible annihilation. Gratitude. You know, a lot of times it's easier for us to practice gratitude when we think about what's been done for us. I think today, particularly in our world, it's easy for us to begin to expect things. You know, we expect people that wait on us, particularly when we go to a restaurant, to know our every need and to read our minds as if these are the things that we really want them to do. Obviously, that's not right. But yet, a lot of times we have that kind of expectation. But it's far easier, biblically speaking, for us to remember how thankful we should be when we think about what's been done for us. And we can look at many places in Scripture. Deuteronomy chapter 8 is one of them. As the people are getting ready, this is the second generation baby boomers, as they're getting ready to go into the land of Canaan, that their forefathers and their fathers and their moms and their grandparents could have gone into earlier 40 years before this. Moses is saying, when you go into that promised land, do not forget. And then he begins to be very specific. Don't forget what the Lord's done for you. Don't forget what has been given to you. In other words, be thankful. Be grateful, because you're going into a land that you don't deserve, except for the fact that God has chosen you to be His chosen people. The same is true in Philippians chapter 4, when Paul said, don't be anxious for anything, but in everything with thanksgiving, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. Paul, what are you saying? Instead of being fretful and worry and freezed in regard to unable to move and do good to others, remember you have a God that loves you. Remember, with thanksgiving, you have a God that's able to take care of your needs. That you have the tremendous privilege through Jesus Christ to pray for whatever it is that you need to pray for, because you have God on your side. But notice that phrase, with thanksgiving. Then Colossians chapter 2 and verse 7. Let us be established in the faith, and let us do it with thanksgiving. He's talking about the faith that's able to sustain you, the faith that's able to see you through issues of life. Remember that you have that faith, and because of that faith, be thankful to God for that faith. This lesson this morning deals with gratitude of the people from Jabesh Gilead. And what was read a few moments ago was obviously the end of Saul's life. Saul obviously was not a perfect king. He made mistakes. God turned away from him because he decided to take away positions that were not his. He offered a sacrifice that he should not have done so. He was impatient with God as well as Samuel. So at the end of his life, is taken from him. The Philistines, who have been his continual thorn in the flesh, finally overtake him. And Saul, realizing that he's about to die and perhaps be humiliated and abused in every kind of way, goes in and kills himself. But what do the Philistines do? Well, they take him and strip him and cut off his head, and they put it on their wall of Bethshan there in the temple area. And they basically say, look at what we do to the enemies who belong to God. And the people of Jabesh Gilead hear about it. And as the text was read, in the middle of the night, all those mighty men of God from Jabesh Gilead that had been saved prior by Saul and his kindness to them, decide to go back and return that kindness. Gratitude is easy to do when we remember what's been done for us. And it's very evident here that these brethren had not forgotten what God had been done, what Saul had done for them. Why is it in our world today that we often forget kindness done to us? I'm afraid today we live in a world that just begins to expect things. We get used to the kind of service that we're given, to the way that mom and dads and grandmamas and granddads do for us, or people at church or wherever, wherever the situation is. You begin to expect it, and even sometimes go beyond that and demand it. These people had not forgotten Saul. You may recall in Luke chapter 17, Jesus talks about going into Samaria, and he goes into a certain village, and there's 10 lepers there. They're outside the camp, outside the city, because of their uncleanness, of their leprosy. They shout, "Lord, have mercy on us." And the Lord tells them, "Why are you waiting? Go show yourself to the priest." And as they're going, they're healed of their leprosy. Aren't you glad to read there in Luke chapter 17, as Luke is telling this narrative, that you read that all 10 of them turned around and thanked Jesus for what they had done? And you're saying, whoa, I thought it was only one. You're right. It was just one. Only one, a Samaritan, came back and thanked the Lord. In 1860, there was a side-wheeler steamboat by the name of the Lady Elgin that collided with a lumber schooner named the Augusta in a terrible storm on Lake Michigan. 279 people lost their lives as that steamboat sank off a mile offshore of Winnetka, Illinois. Even more would have died had it not been for the heroic efforts of a minister student, a student at Northwestern University by the name of Edward Spencer. When he heard the collision and saw what was happening, even though it was late at night in the middle of winter, he dove into Lake Michigan and swam out to where the wreckage was. Rescued one, brought them back to land, turned right around and went back. 17 different people he saved that night. But because of the severity of the coldness, it affected his health for the rest of his life, and he had to live his life in a wheelchair. On his 80th birthday, someone interviewed him as to his most vivid memory of that fateful night of when he rescued 17 people and 279 died. And these were his words: "Not one of the 17 people ever returned to thank me." Think about that. We live in a world today where many individuals just expect people to do what they do. And the reasoning, the rationalization may well be, well, you have more money than I do, or you have more position than I do, or you're the boss, or you're a Christian, you're supposed to act that way. Or you're the person serving me. They're paying you good money for you to serve me, so therefore I expect you to go beyond. On and on it could go. And no one ever simply says, "Thank you for the second mile of service that they give to each one of us." In business management today, there's a man by the name of Tom Peters who has written just several wonderful books about business management, business practice, all kinds of things dealing with if you want to be a success in life. He has paid thousands upon thousands of dollars to go and give seminars about business practices in America today. In one of his books, The Pursuit of Wow, he has a section that he calls the most important piece of advice in this book. And he highlights it by talking about, you want to know the one single most important thing to do when it comes to business? When it comes to be dealing with other people? Guess what he said? It's called a thank you note. And this man that goes all across the country and all across the world talking about business practice says the most important thing about this book that I wrote and how to treat others when it comes to business is a simple thank you note. Wow. Were there not 10 cleansed, Jesus said? Where are the 9? Have we ever stopped just to say thank you? Even in this building today, someone turned the lights on. Someone made sure that the air conditioning and the heating worked. By the way, we have air conditioning on this side and heat on. No. So there's no. But you see the point? Someone had the Lord's Supper elements to be used so that we don't have to worry about whether that was going to be taken care of. Thank you. Wherever you may go home today, and someone may have prepared a meal. Ask your mother to sit down before you say, thank you, Mom, so she won't pass out. But you see the point? Dads pay for you to go out and eat. Thank you. The person that waits on you, thank you for doing the job that you did and going beyond. Just a simple thank you. You see, these folks hadn't forgotten. Now, 40 years had passed since Saul had come and saved them, 1 Samuel chapter 11. 40 years. And it would have been very easy for them to have said, well, he's the king. That's what he's supposed to do in the first place. They could have rationalized it. Well, it won't mean anything to us, to him anymore. And as far as we know, aside from what we read in 1 Samuel chapter 11, Saul and the people of Jabesh Gilead don't have anything else to deal with each other during those 40 years. But you see, they wanted to express gratitude. And what they did was something with no pretense. They didn't have any kind of getting anything from this. Because what they did was totally unselfish. They went in the dead of night with a possibility of being attacked and killed themselves. And they went into the enemy territory, to the enemy city where Bethshan was. And they took those bodies off the wall. And they took those bodies. And you may think, well, they burned their bodies, and that was a way of honoring. They didn't want the enemy to come back and take the bodies back again. That's why they burned the bodies. That's why they buried them under the tamarisk tree, because they didn't want anyone to mess with this family anymore, because they'd already been desecrated already enough. They put their lives at risk. The sad thing is they did it after Saul had died. But at least they did it. At least they showed appreciation. Sometimes you read about people that say, don't wait till I'm died to show your appreciation for me. Let me know it now. Tell me now instead of tell me later. And it's so easy for us sometimes to say, well, it won't mean anything. Or to say, well, they know that I care for them. They know that I love them. Do they really? This week someone sent me a note. It meant so much to me. What I had done was not important, not really great thing at all. But they sure did make me feel good by the card, the kindness they shared in that card. And it makes you want to do even more. So that's the whole point. When we say thank you to the right kind of people, it will make them better people to do more for others as well. That's just the way it works. And what is rather interesting is that even though these men did this for Saul and his family who were dead, in 2 Samuel chapter 2, when David becomes the king, listen. Then the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. And they told David, saying, the men of Jabesh Gilead were the ones who buried Saul. So David sent messengers to the men of Jabesh Gilead and said to them, you are blessed of the Lord, for you have shown this kindness to your Lord, to Saul, and have buried him. And now may the Lord show kindness and truth to you. I also will repay you this kindness, because you have done this thing. Now therefore let your hands be strengthened and be valiant, for your master Saul is dead, and also the house of Judah has anointed me king over them. In other words, David sent them a thank you note, didn't he? He really did. Now, what he was trying to do is he was trying to unify the nation of Israel and the nation and the tribe of Judah. But he did it by thanking them. Thank you for taking care of Saul. Thank you for honoring him. Thank you for honoring your people. And I want the Lord to bless you because of what you've done. Just a simple thank you. And it would mean the world to them for the remainder of their life together. I don't know who wrote it, but I sure did love it. If for pleasure you are viewing and a work a man is doing, if you like him, and this would be same of course of her as well, if you love him, tell him now. Don't withhold your admiration till the preacher makes oration and he lies with snowy lilies or his brow. If he earns your praise, bestow it. If you like him, let him know it. Let the word of truth and encouragement be said. Do not wait till life is over, and he's underneath the clover, for he can't read the tombstone when he is dead. In this audience this morning, there are people that you need to tell thank you. And if we started, we could not end, because we'd either overlook someone. But there are people that need to be thanked here for your kindness, for your love, for your generosity, for your patience, for your love. I mean, on and on we could go. Tell them now. Put it in a note. Yeah, if you have to send an email, put it in an email. At least show thanksgiving and gratitude to people that you love and appreciate. About 2,000 years ago, there was someone that was willing to die on the cross for the sins of all of us. I wonder this morning, have you said thank you to him? And you're saying, well, I've already done that. I thank him daily for what he's done for me. Really? Are you showing that by your love? Are you showing that by your obedience? Are you showing that by doing simply what he's told you within his word to do to become a Christian and to live for him in this life? You know, one day when this life is over, we will stand before God. The Bible tells us, through Jesus Christ, our Savior, as well as our Judge. Would it not be wonderful to humbly look him in the eye on the other side and to simply say thank you? If you've not done that today because you've not obeyed him, we invite you to come and so we stand and sing together.